All right, so now that your final draft is drawn out, you are going to do your color plan. Now, before you start coloring your final, we're going to do a plan. We're going to plan out where our color is going to go, and we're going to do it on our rough draft. So you're going to figure out what colors things are going to be. Now, there are a couple of rules when it comes to colors. One, your border color should not be used anywhere else. So whatever colors I choose to use in my border patterns, I can't use anywhere else. When it comes to every other color, your colors need to be balanced. That means if I make, and there's a couple of things. For example, if I'm going to do my French Canadian flag or my Canadian flag, it's going to be red because it has to be because the Canadian flag is red. So once I put red there, I've got to have red somewhere else. So since I'm forced into that choice, I'm going to have to think about something else I want red. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the thread for my needle and thread is going to be red. So then I've got red here and red here, so my red is balanced. So I think for my Celtic flag, now I'm choosing to do my images first because I kind of want to know what colors that I'm stuck with and what colors I can't use. Because if I'm using a color in my symbols, I can't use it in my border. So I think I'm going to make my Celtic cross green. And I've got my green here. And then that means something else has to be green. So I think maybe I make the outside of the camera green. Now you notice I'm not coloring all of the camera green. I'm leaving other parts because if I need some other parts to be other colors, I can always use that. Now, are all cameras green? No. Does my camera have to be green? No. I'm choosing to make it that color. The only time you have to color something a specific color is if it becomes unrecognizable otherwise. A Canadian flag isn't quite as recognizable if it's not red and white. Now also realize, because that white is being used there, I'm going to have to leave something else white. I'm not worried about that right now. I'm going to come back to it. So then I've got that. So I think then I need my hammer. So I think I want to do part of my hammer. I want to do the hammer of my hammer brown. Now I think the way I'll balance that is I'll make the spool that my thread is on also brown. Now, let me grab the breast cancer awareness ribbon here has to be pink because otherwise it means some other kind of cancer. So it has to be pink. That means I have to have pink somewhere else. So where else could I have pink? I could put it up here in something. I could put it on my thing here. I don't really like either of those ideas. So I think what I might do is I might put it in my tree. So I might put it in my name. I might make my name pink so that it balances. Now if I make a mistake while doing this, I can always just kind of scribble it out and scribble a new color on top of it. Because that way I can figure it out. That's why this is a color plan and not a final. Now, I got to figure out what color my tree is because I still have still a big space. I don't want it to be brown because then it will blend in with these, but I do kind of want my tree to be brownish. So I think there are multiple shades of some of the colors, and realize every time you grab a different marker, that marker is the color you're using. So I am grabbing copper because it's a slightly lighter brown, and I think my tree is going to be copper. Your tree doesn't have to be brown. I'm just making that choice. Your tree could literally be any color that you want it to be. But all of this will be copper. See how I'm not coloring neatly? That's okay. I'm just figuring out where my color's going. Now the other thing about your tree is you do not need to worry, as long as your tree is nice and big, as it should be, your tree balances itself because my tree brown goes kind of all across. So I don't have to worry about it balancing. So now I have to look around and see what other colors do I still have. I still have this part here. So I think what I'm going to do with that one is I'm going to make it gray. So if I make this gray, that means somewhere else needs to be gray. So I think I'm going to make my thing over here gray. I think I'm also going to go up here and make this gray. I need something left white. I think I'm going to leave the spaces here inside my thing white. So I'm going to put a little W there so I remember that those are going to be white. So I've got my white, my red, my pink, my brown, my green, my green. So everything is balanced. So now I need to go into my border. So I can't use any of the colors that I've used so far. So I think what I'm going to do for my Celtic border, I kind of like the idea, since most of these are kind of the cool, I'm not even sure. I'm not really using yellow and orange right now. So I think, at least in my Celtic border, I'm going to use this one inside my twirlies, which is golden yellow, and then I think I'm going to use, let's check. I'm going to use, no, those two are too close to each other. So see how that's not working, so I'm going to have to try a different color. So maybe I'll try something more like something darker. Yeah, I kind of like those two together. And I'm going to put this right over here. I'm not going to color all of it, but I'm going to make sure, yes, those two reds are different enough that they're not going to blend in. So that's what color that's going to be, and I'll even stick some over here so I know that those patterns here, when I finish them, are going to be those colors. Then I still need to do my Cherokee patterns. So maybe I take another kind of orange. I could even take the same, I could take orange and kind of red and keep it like that. I think I like this orange. I think I'm going to use another one of these oranges. Depending on how your pattern goes, it might be that you're going to, that because I chose to have my patterns kind of opposite each other so they balance, you might need to use the same colors in them so that they balance. But for the most part, as long as you're using your patterns in multiple places, your patterns should also balance themselves. So I think I like this one. I think I'm going to use this one in there too. And I think I'm also going to use some of this darker red. So those are all there. So now I've got my border. I know what color my border is going to be. That means there's only one thing left. Now, some people may be able to, depending on other color choices that you've made, you may be able to leave that center space white. I can't, because I chose to leave some of my objects white and some of my object spots white. I can't leave my background white, because your background, we'll write that over here too. Background only. So your background has to be a color that you're not using anywhere else. Since I'm using white, that means I need to put a different color in my background. Now, you could use, if I think about everything, everything's kind of on the lighter or on the darker side, so I could use a lighter color to contrast to make it go out. Or I think what I'm going to do, because I kind of like the idea, and I'm going to test it over here, I think I'm going to do my background black, so that it stands out, so that all these other brighter colors stand out from the black in the background. Now, if I don't like that, and I'm not sure I do, I could also try over here, I could try a different combination. And I could kind of look at both of those and decide which one I like better. And then when you come up to me, you can say, I'm going to do this one, I don't like this one. And I do kind of like that one. I kind of like that way that looks in the background. So I'm going to draw an arrow here and put myself an X so I know that this is going to be that color. So finish your color plan, and then you're going to be able to color your final.